You can always find an audience no matter how specific your interests are.
Niche can also mean super big.
Credibility can be found in niche media.
I think everyone has the capacity to be a niche media outlet.
I think niche media is in a really good space right now because you can really capitalize on a niche. Because thanks to the web, you can find your niche audience, which was really difficult before we had the web. So a magazine like Holo can only exist because we can connect with our readers all over the world, and they can find out about the magazine, or they can find out about the blog,
So I didn't know until I started it whether, how big that community really was. But fortunately, because of the internet and things like Kickstarter, where we launched it, I was able to see that, maybe the audience is out there.
Niche is also global. So I can find these very few people that are interested in a subject here, and there's certainly going to be few people interested in Germany and the UK and in Denmark and in Japan and so on.
Now so many more people, like thousands and thousands more people, can see like the things that I make way more easily. Before the internet, I would have had to make a VHS tape and mail it to someone for someone to see it.
Niche doesn't mean now exactly small anymore. Niche can also mean super big.
Recognizing those niches, that's where the kind of value is. And this is where this comparison between the big players and the small players, and the small players still have value in the machine, but the value is not as recognized probably as it would have been 10 years ago.
When I think back to the time when I was a kid and there was no internet and I felt like the weirdo in the middle of nowhere, and I so wish that there would have been things like Boom when I was a kid so I could connect with those things.
We're very lucky to live in a time where this exists and that people can make up a job and make it their living. You can always find an audience no matter how specific your interests are, that people also will support that thing because they're into it as well.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding between quality versus the exposure, volume versus value.
The more specific the community is, the more you can have a respectable voice in that community.
To think about the amount of people that are looking at just the things that I think are interesting or the different projects I'm trying to do is kind of overwhelming. I don't often like to think about it because I don't want to change what I'm trying to do. I don't want to start second guessing my own decisions only because it's more popular.
The internet is beautiful because everyone, it gives everyone a voice. Everyone who has the internet can publish, and that's absolutely wonderful.
I have an audience of my own. You have an audience of your own. Brands' audiences have an audience. So we're all sort of media platforms, and we're all taking part in niche media because we do, as people, what publications have been doing, before the internet was there.
Publishers, I think we might become even more redundant than we are, because I believe that you're a publisher, you're a publisher, you're a publisher, everyone's a publisher. And so the idea of niche media goes beyond organisations, and I think everyone has the capacity to be a niche media outlet.
People don't trust the media, so they want to rely on people they trust on, and they want to find credibility. And so I think credibility can be found in niche media because you maybe have a more maybe have also personal identification with the persons who are delivering that.
So people find out on the blog how I, how I come up with a content plan, how I choose my sponsors. I recently even published my my numbers, how much money I made in a particular year, and I also do really personal stuff like showing people that I had an emotional meltdown because something went wrong with the cover print, and so it's really personal, and people really seem to like that I'm making it an honest and authentic sort of project where I open up my personal feelings.
what I would like to see in the future for niche media is just make use of all the possibilities that you have now and cultivate the niche, make it better, add value, do meaningful things.
What do I want to happen with niche media is probably to continue to remain niche.
So in one way, I hope they don't classically grow up. I don't want them to become a CNN. I don't want them to become this big, amazing thing, because I want them to stay cool and I want them to stay committed to certain target markets. So yeah, I hope that they expand, and I hope that there's a ton of them in the future. But I also hope that we're in this era where if you're really into something and you're really dedicated to a certain culture, there's a piece of media that's there to advocate for you and be a mouthpiece for you.